Sir, part of this receiving also would include the implementation of the recommendation by the private investigator. Is that part of it?
If that's your, that's
what I'd like to have it here.
And the second is also included. Okay.
I think we've all learned from this thing, and I think that in the future, I think that we're hopefully not going to have that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll just make sorry, Councilor Clement?
Mr. Fleming's report is very instructive, and again, I want to thank him for his thoughtful analysis around this. There is a real technical nature to the work that we do in meetings, and this report clearly tells us that we have to be very careful around that. So it is helpful, as Councilor Rivette says, and I think we are learning from it. The investigator does make a practical recommendation, and it's good that we added that to the motion as Councilor Rivette suggested, so that we take the helpful suggestion and incorporate it. And the better that we run our meetings, the better it is for us to be able to focus on what needs to be done for the city of Cornwall, so that we move forward and do the things that people want us to do for the city.
Councilor McDonald?
And I'd just like to say that I agree that we made a mistake, and we've received some excellent recommendations from Mr. Cornwall, and I really appreciate the fact that they came through so quickly, because he was very prompt in his report. He's given us very specific guidelines, and I'd like to say I think it's regrettable that Councilor Rivette did suffer some anxiety, and I'm hoping that will never happen again, because we certainly have too good a history of having worked well together and accomplished a great deal together for this to remain on our minds for long, or anywhere near our radar screen going forward. But I'd also like to say that as Mr. Forney said, the investigator said, we were right to go into in camera. We just got a little bit off topic, and anybody who watches council meetings can see how we do that quite readily. I think that at the same time, I hope the public doesn't think that having in-camera meetings is incompatible with the principle of transparency, because as councillors, we are obliged to conduct some of our business in camera, and that is not incompatible with our own stated goal of transparency and with the ideal of transparency. So I just want to have that out there, because we need to have in-camera meetings, and we'll just be a lot stricter about how closely we stay to the agenda in the future. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, I have just a brief statement, because I also welcome you actually to comment on Mr. Furney's report. Mr. Furney is very clear in his findings. And under the title of Summary of Findings, Conclusions, and Recommendations, in paragraph 1, he states, and I quote, in part, Council acted properly by considering the matter related to the conduct of the CAO during the post-meeting held on February 27, 2012, in quotation. In the very next paragraph, Mr. Furney states, and again I quote, it is concluded that Council acted improperly in part when its consideration of the matter moved from discussions on the conduct of the city CAO to include discussions regarding the conduct of Councilor Rivette, without specifically citing his conduct as a reason for an exception under Section 239. So to summarize, from my own perspective, Mr. Furney clearly states that Council acted properly discussing the matter in camera, but needed to be more specific as to the reason as it pertained to Councilor Rivette. And I think I've taken great pride over the last 5 years although I came up short on this one. I take great pride in not bringing surprises to council. I don't like surprises, and I don't like to dump surprises on council either. And that's why I've already previously apologized to Councilor Rivette for not informing him before the meeting as to at least to the direction I would take during that in-camera session. So I read this as making the right decisions, but we can do a better job, obviously. And we will learn from this, and we will learn how to communicate when and why we move behind closed doors. Let me take a moment to remind all present and at home that sometimes, as already mentioned by Councilor John, such as in legal matters, labor negotiations, or personnel issues, we are bound by law and privacy acts to discuss certain matters privately, and we take that responsibility very seriously. It's not an option. This is a matter of procedure that we have to abide by. Mr. Forney recommends that the city incorporate the best practice model resolution depicted in Appendix 1 into its closed meeting procedures. And as Councillor Rivette has added to the motion receiving the report, while this recommendation is not binding, we will make the necessary change to reflect this recommendation. We will also be updating the city's website with information on this matter so that any citizen can learn more about the process followed when meetings are called. In closing, I join in thanking Mr. Courtney for his thorough timely report and recommendation. All in favor of receiving the report? Carried. Thank you.